Hello there, my brainwashed zealots. I'm Joshua the Heretic. I'm going to talk about the difference between predestination and free will. Many of you have taken up a side on one or the other, but the problem is that when it comes to Scripture, we can't choose sides. If the Bible talks about free will, it says free will exists, then free will exists. If it talks about predestination existing, then predestination exists, and there are Scriptures on both subjects. So, what we have to do then is we have to realize that the Bible talks about both. So, what I'm going to be talking about today is I'm going to be talking about this free will predestination thing, and I'm going to explain it in a way that hopefully makes sense to everybody. Now, God is not a man. He is not a tangible being, and time really only matters to physical, tangible beings. If you are let's say a fourth dimensional being, I don't mean to use terms like this, but you kind of exist outside of time, and all kind of time exists simultaneously. You know the future and the past are all simultaneously existing where you're at. So God, since He exists outside of time, really sees our lives as kind of like this long timeline. And from the beginning of creation all the way to the end of creation, God sees us on this timeline and everything in between. And He sees it all simultaneously. So what we have to understand is, from our perspective, we have free will. We see a situation, we choose whether we're going to go do this or do this, and we choose that, and then we follow that path until it makes us reach another path where we have to make a new decision. Now, we continue making these choices over and over and over again, and then it kind of meanders around to where our destination is going to be. Problem is that God knows exactly what we're going to do before we do it. This is what makes Him omnipotent, omniscience, Omnipotent is all-powerful. Omniscience is, I believe, all-seeing. We'll go with omniscient. Anyway, He knows everything. So since He knows everything, the reason He knows everything is because He sees everything from beginning to end, start to finish, all at the same time. So it kind of like takes out all the guesswork. But since we are three-dimensional beings and we live inside of time, and our present is the only thing that really truly exists for us, we see our lives as having, choices that we have to make. So when God created Adam, He knew that Adam was going to fall. He knew he was going to be tempted, but seeing as though he was a tangible physical being, He had to give him the opportunity to fail on his own before He could judge him. He's not going to judge somebody unless they make a mistake first, because they are not guilty until they've made the mistake. And that's kind of how we have to understand this. From God's perspective, we are preordained to be either successful or failures, or sinners or saved or unsaved. But from our perspective, we have a choice. We have to choose every day, every second, every moment to be under and to follow God's will. I hope that makes sense to you. But this is the difference between predestination and free will. We have to choose. We have to follow these paths, and we have to make the conscious effort to follow God's will at any given situation. But God knows exactly what we're going to choose no matter what. So I hope this answers that question for you, and it brings some sort of light to the subject, because I'm just tired of seeing all these Christians out there choosing one side or the other. God knows where you're going to be, but it's up to us to choose that path that God has already knows that exists for us, if that makes any sense. But anyway, I hope that blesses you. I'm the Heretic, signing out. Bye.